welcome back to Katie's Favorite Recipes. Today I've got 3 grab-and-go freezer-friendly breakfast foods that I think you are going to love. These are awesome for those chaotic mornings that you do not have time to make breakfast but everybody's hungry. You can just grab these out of the freezer, pop them in the microwave, or your kids could even do it if they know how to use a microwave. It's that simple. So I think you all are going to love these. Let's go ahead and get started now. Starting off with our English muffin breakfast sandwiches, we are going to start by making the eggs for these, and I'm going to show you all the easiest way to make the perfect size eggs for these sandwiches. So I'm going to start by cracking 6 eggs. Once I get those cracked, I'm going to season these the way I want to. You can follow this or do your own way, but I'm going to add a half a teaspoon of salt, and then I was going to add a fourth a teaspoon of pepper, but when I started pouring that in, I was like, that's way too much. So I didn't even do half of that fourth of a teaspoon that I had poured out. So I just sprinkled some in until it looked like enough to me, and then I went on and I added some milk, and this will help the eggs be a little bit fluffier. So I just did about a tablespoon of milk. And then once I put that in, I'm going to go ahead and whisk this up really well. I'm going to take this and pour it in a really well greased pan, and this is smaller than a 9x13 pan. And then I'm going to bake this in the oven at 325 for about 15 minutes or so. Just start checking it and make sure that it's not burning, but you want the center of this to be set. Next, get your favorite bacon and put about 12 slices on some foil on a cookie sheet or a baking sheet or whatever, and then pop that in the oven as well at about 425 and let that cook to your desired tenderness, whether it be crispy or chewy. And then at that point, our eggs have finished cooking, so we're going to take those out of the oven, flip them upside down, and let those start cooling off. While those are cooling, once they're finished, our bacon should also be finishing up, and I cooked mine to be crispy. I love crispy bacon. And I'm also going to be using these ingredients. So I've got some ham here, my favorite cheese, and my English muffins. And this is going to make about 6 breakfast sandwiches. But now that our eggs and our bacon are finished, we're going to start assembling these. So I'm going to cut my eggs into squares, and this is going to make 6 squares, and I'm just using a pizza cutter. And now that those are cut, we're going to start making our English muffins. So I just took those muffins and sliced them in half. They weren't pre-sliced. And I'm going to start layering these however I want to. So I'm going to do my eggs first. And then I'm also going to add a slice of cheese. If you would rather, you can always wait and add your cheese later, because when you microwave these, that cheese is going to melt. But it's just around the edges, so if you don't mind that, you can go ahead and put it on. Now I'm going to start adding my bacon on here. So I'm going to do about 2 slices per sandwich. If you want to add more bacon than that, feel free to do it, but these are packed with so much protein, and I felt like 2 was good. So here's the finished product, and these were so good. They kept me full pretty much throughout the whole day. You know, they've got so much protein in them, and they are just so easy to assemble. I won't make you sit and watch me assemble all 6 of these because they're pretty straightforward, but I'll go ahead and put another one together for you all, and then we'll move on to the next recipe. But these were awesome to have in the freezer or the refrigerator. You could even keep them in there for a couple days and then just warm them up. You can also put them in the freezer for the night before if you know you're going to eat one the next day, and that way the thawing process will already start and it'll heat up a little quicker, but these don't take long at all to heat up. So we're just going to wrap these up in some parchment paper, put these all in a Ziploc bag and label it and stick it in the freezer. Then when you go to heat these up, you can even heat them up on the parchment paper in the microwave, and that works out really well too. That's why I didn't do aluminum foil, so I could just pop them in the microwave. These are awesome to have on hand, especially when you have children that are old enough to be able to use the microwave. They can just go in there and heat these up in the mornings and have a really good filling breakfast. If you all have any variation ideas of what you might would put on these, go ahead and let me know in the comments. I love some new ideas. And let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Next, we're going to be making freezer-friendly breakfast burritos. These were so good, so I'm going to start off making my sausage. So I'm just going to go ahead and start cooking that and crumbling it up and letting it cook all the way through, getting it down to the size pieces I like. And then once I do that, I'm going to let it finish, and I'm going to start cooking my bacon as well. So I've got about half a pound of bacon here, so about 12 slices. Just going to pop that in the oven at 425, and while that's cooking, I'm going to finish up my sausage, and it is finished cooking all the way through at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and get this out of my skillet, and I'm going to strain the grease out of it. There's not a whole lot in here, but I want to make sure that these breakfast burritos are not greasy. Next, I'm going to start working on my eggs. So I'm going to crack about 6 eggs here. I get those cracked, we're going to start adding in our milk. So I'm going to add in about 2 tablespoons of milk to these just to help them be good and fluffy when we scramble them. Once I get that added in, I'm going to start adding in some seasonings to this. Of course, feel free to change it however you want to make it to your family's taste. So I'm going to go ahead and add in a half a teaspoon of salt to this. If you think that's too much, go ahead and just change it, but this is about a half a teaspoon. And then I'm going to throw in just a little bit of black pepper. I'm also going to add in some smoked paprika. If you like smoked paprika but you have never put it in your eggs before, it's so good. I feel like it completely elevates the flavor. And then once I get that in and just sprinkle it in there, I'm going to whisk this up and then I'm going to start cooking it. So I actually keep bacon grease on hand in my refrigerator. And I'm just going to add a spoonful of that, and I'm also going to add some butter to the skillet, but you can use the bacon grease from the bacon you made earlier to help cook these eggs. It gives it so much more flavor. The smoked paprika and the bacon grease does change the color of these eggs just a little bit, so if you want your eggs to come out more yellow, then don't add that in. Now that my eggs are done, I'm going to get my tortilla shells and I'm going to start assembling my burritos. So I did do some of these different than the others, so I'm just going to walk you through a few of them. But they are pretty straightforward, so I won't make you sit and watch me do all of them. This one, I did keep my bacon into strips and I put 2 on it, but for the rest I actually did crumble those up. And I also added cheese to this one. I am going to do that to a lot of them, but not all of them. Once I get it the way I want it, I'm going to lay it on some aluminum foil, and I'm just going to pinch the ends of these in and then roll it up into itself, and then I'm going to tightly wrap this aluminum foil around it. That's going to help this to be able to keep its shape and to help keep it rolled up like a burrito when you put this in the freezer so they won't all come unrolled. And then once we get that done, we're just going to move on to the next one. So I have crumbled up my bacon at this point, and I'm going to add some of that sausage and bacon in there. Just a couple spoonfuls of that, and then once I do that, I'm going to go ahead and add in my eggs. I felt like I put a little too much, so I took some out and then put the eggs in, because if you overstuff these when you go to roll them up, they're going to split open. Some Mrs. Dash chipotle seasoning, and I'm just going to sprinkle that one on this, and this was actually so good on that. It gave it a chipotle flavor. It was really good. And Mrs. Dash does not have any salt in it in this one, so you don't have to worry about getting it too salty where we added the salt to the eggs and then with the salty bacon. So you can just sprinkle as much as you want in there, and then I'm going to do the same thing as I did to the other one and just roll this up and tightly roll it into some aluminum foil to keep its shape and everything like that. Once I get that one rolled up, I'm going to show you all one more burrito real quick, and then we're going to move on to the next recipe. But I'm going to roll that one up, and then I'm just going to make a burrito with sausage, egg, bacon, and cheese like I have. Some of these I did add fresh tomatoes to, and that was really good. Some salsa would also be good on these as well. I'm going to label each burrito on the aluminum foil since several of them are different and they have variations. That way you know which one you're getting in case somebody has a taste preference of what they like or don't. And then I'm going to label my Ziploc bag breakfast burritos, and I'm just going to put all of this in a gallon Ziploc bag. For me, with everything that I used, this made me about 9 burritos, and these were so good. We actually ate these for lunch and dinner some too because we loved them so much. But that's it. These are done and ready to be put in the freezer or kept in the fridge for a couple days. Lastly, we're going to be making some just simple classic sausage and biscuit freezer friendly ones, and these were really good as well. I'm just using my favorite biscuits, and I've lined parchment paper to keep the bottoms from getting too dark. While those are cooking, I'm going to start making my sausage patties with my breakfast sausage that I have here, and then I'm just going to fry those up and cook them until they are completely cooked all the way through. My biscuits have also finished, and I've got those split in half, and then I'm just going to start assembling these. I did put some cheese on these, but I didn't add cheese to all of these. These would be really easy to add cheese to after you have reheated them from the freezer or the refrigerator, whichever one you keep these in. So we get all of these assembled and made the way we like them. We're going to go ahead and start wrapping these up. If you wanted to, you could also add eggs to these as well. That would be really good, but I just kept mine simple with sausage and cheese or just sausage. But we're going to wrap these up in parchment paper, and then we are going to put these in a Ziploc bag. Just going to label it sausage and biscuit on the bag and pop these in the freezer or the refrigerator for a couple days, and these are ready to eat. I hope you all have enjoyed these videos, and again, thanks for watching. Make sure to give me a like and subscribe. Bye!